And we're live. Good evening, whiskey brothers and whiskey sisters. Welcome to episode one of the Canadian Whisky Journey's non-whisky review. I'm Dolph. I'm your host tonight, and I'm joined by Blair, Phillips, and Davin Kergommeaux, co-authors of this book right here, The Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries, the portable expert to over 200 distilleries, and the spirits they make. And we are continuing our Canadian Whisky Journey with a review of Distillerie Shefford's Vodka d'érable, so maple vodka. So, and there it is right there. It's a good picture. This is a new chapter for me, I've got to say. Davin and Blair convinced me to expand my alcohol horizons and my palate, and they assured me that this would be I'd be able to savor this straight. So I agreed to do a vodka. This is my first vodka I've ever done a review of. So, and let's show the article. So I'm going to go to the article really quickly. That one right there. So you'll look at it, and it's CanadianDistilleries.com. And here it is again. And there's, well, maybe Blair will talk about the maple syrup in a bit as well, because it's a good looking can that I'm happy to get one day. I don't want to tell you everything from the article. Everyone should read the article. But could one of you two gentlemen please tell us about the Aceram and how this, the Vodka d'érable, stems from the Aceram. Tie those two together for us if I can, or you can.
Yeah, I can take this one on if you want. All right, so Aceram is a new designation in Quebec where they take maple syrup or any kind of maple product from Quebec, ferment it, distill it into a brand new spirit. It can be either unaged, kind of like this one here, or it can be aged in wood like this. You cannot add any flavoring or anything like that to the spirit. It just has to be pure maple syrup products. Really exciting category. And what happens is they take the maple sugar or the maple syrup, which is about 65% sugar, and they cut it down to about 25%, so it becomes yeast food. And they will ferment that, distill it, either put in a barrel, but through that process, the heads and tails that come off of it, either traditionally they would redistill it into more Aceram, but what Distillerie Shefford did was they blend those two spirits, and they fire it through the still again and crank it up to about 95% alcohol. And then they have a little filter on the side of their distillery that they cold filter it and bottle it at 40%. And that's the gist of how this vodka is made.
What it is. All right, so the hearts go to the Aceram and the heads and tails redistilled, and which explains the mouthfeel, because that was my first taste that you just saw. I didn't even try this last night. Very creamy. Very creamy. Okay. So, gentlemen, we're going to jump right into this because, and you're going to help me out because, like I said, this is my first vodka that I've ever reviewed. Let's talk about the bottle. Again, we're at 500 mils, and there it is there again. So 500 mils, 40%, and available from the distillery itself. And you have to check SAQ because sometimes it's in season, sometimes not. So check with SAQ. And Blair, Davin, do you know if I know they're trying to get it distilled throughout the country, but are they focusing anywhere in particular?
When I talked to Hugo when I visited, they were planning on getting the Aceram into the LCBO and out west, but I haven't heard anything, an update on that since last year. All
right. It's lovely. And yes, I can do it straight and enjoy it. So it's good. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Davin, let's start with you with the nose. What do you got?
Well, right off the top, I got something that's like mushrooms. Maybe, the leaf mold in a deciduous forest.
Yep.
Star anise is quite prominent in this.
Oh, okay.
But I've got minerally notes as well. Quite nice. I think you get more minerals on the palate than on those, but I get that as well. And there's that little just hint of the key woody note that you get in real maple syrup. They can never make it in the artificial stuff, but I get a little bit. It's not like maple, and it's not like it's sweet, but it's that the wood note in maple. And I think they use the syrup from very late in the season, which is very rich in this real maple note. I think sotalon is a chemical that gives it that flavor. It's really I find it quite interesting. I mean, obviously, if you're coming from cask strength whiskey, your palate really won't be attuned to tasting something as subtle and as this, but it's quite beautiful. Honestly, I think it's got so much flavor. I think in most countries they wouldn't be able to call it vodka. Fortunately, in Canada, we're allowed to leave some essence of the feedstock. So I find it really quite palatable. I drank a lot of this. Quite a lot of this when we were writing the book.
Nice. Good. It's nice to be in a position where people want to give you some alcohol to drink. So good for you. I'm really in awe, actually, of the knowledge of people that I know in Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick about maple syrup, because I was born in Montreal, and that was part of our thing. Every spring we'd go and we'd have the sirop d'érable and the pool, and it really enjoyed it. But I don't have any background knowledge like you seem to have. So my adult life has been completely apart from that. No trees like that in Alberta whatsoever, and we don't know anything about it. So it's quite cool. I like that. And someone was telling me just recently that there's a difference in flavor between those three provinces and the maple syrup from their three provinces, and maybe different places in Quebec people could tell.
Yeah, I think there's really a big difference. I think maple syrup expresses terroir more than almost anything I know. Right. And of course, like there are 4 grades of maple syrup. The first syrup that comes off the tree is very light. Okay. Then there's it gets a little darker and a little darker. And at the end of the season, there's this really dark stuff, which is really only used for industrial processing, for flavoring and things like, because it is so rich. Now, here in Ottawa, in the Byward Market, you can buy that really dark syrup. And believe me, it's like concentrated maple syrup, except it doesn't concentrate the sweetness. It's really.
Would it be like molasses, Davin?
No, not like molasses at all. It's just that there's so much more flavor in it. It's really alive with flavor.
So you're cooking with it then, maybe? Because I'm thinking, beans with it, that would be fantastic. I think.
Well, yes, that's what you would do if you weren't addicted to maple syrup. But I really just love using that. That's my favorite syrup. You buy it in the market, and it's use it on pancakes, use it on whatever, and everybody in our family likes that syrup now.
See what we learned today? Well, see what I learned today? Well, Blair, what do you think about the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So it's kind of interesting because the Patrick, Charles, and Hugo of Caban... let me see.
Bourassa.
Yeah, the Bourassa brothers, but from the Boo Boo place. They will tap trees from January through to the end of April. So they don't go right into that late season that Davin loves the stuff from. They kind of shut it down before then. But it's crazy when you're there, because when you're standing on the front door of the distillery, you're looking out. There's this big ridge of like a kind of like a hill mountain type thing, just filled with maple trees. And then behind the distillery, there's another huge grove. And then 20 kilometers away, there's another small one. And that's where they get their stuff from. And they have, I think, something like 45,000 plus taps that just feed the sugar bush from January through to April. And they have, man, like they make all kinds of different stuff. They have like stews, terrines, pot pies. They make these taffy cones that are just ridiculously delicious. Maple syrup, like they go crazy, right? And they also have this high aesthetic on what it should taste like. So this isn't going to be some like novelty taffy cone. This stuff is dangerously addictively good. And that aesthetic that Distillerie Shefford established back when they opened in 2017, that's what the Barassa brothers have carried over when they bought the distillery in spring last year.
All right. And what a great job, actually, because I don't know if we want to call them farmers, but let's call them farmers. They're men of the land, women of the land for the 4, 5, 6 months, and then they're preparing it, they're using it, and distilling for the other 5 months maybe. And I'm finally at the back of my palate tasting the maple, but it's at the back of my throat.
Oh, good, you got that, yeah.
But it's I thought sweet was always going to be up front, but I'm getting it back here, which is a little bit odd for me. It's
not the sweet part of the maple that I'm tasting. I think that sweetness that you're tasting is alcohol. It's really more the woody notes and the mineral notes that distinguish real, genuine maple syrup.
Okay. Yeah, and it's all felt at the back of the tongue, close to the throat. That's neat. Well, because it goes from the soft, from the creamy to that flavor, so it progresses from one to the other. I like that. Now, if you were going to make this into a drink, I don't know. I think I'd drink it this way. I think I'd just keep it straight, anyways. Would this be all right with a couple ice cubes, or would it change it?
That'd be my classic cocktail with this stuff. It's just a gigantic chunk of ice that will take down the Titanic and just have it like that.
Well, I'll try that with the other half of this one. I think I'll do that. And so on the palate, what are you getting, Blair? Because I got that. Davin says the wood notes, but
it's kind of interesting. If you take this and really water it down, you get a little bit of that tangerine zest to it as well. But to me, it's all about that like woodland, funky muddiness that I really love about this vodka. Just those subtle traces, like as if you're in the forest and a breeze hits you, kind of thing. It's quite special. I don't know. I don't think there's anything really like this anywhere else. I've had some Vermont maple vodkas, and they were distilled to death, whereas this stuff still tastes like it's made somewhere special. So,
and watering it down, citrusy, you said?
Just a little bit. If it'll come in really quick and then disappear.
I might have put too much water in it. That's all right. I'm going to throw some ice in it and another, and I'm going to pour the rest of the vodka in and enjoy my 2 ounces worth it for one last little bit in our last 2 minutes. Davin, anything else to add, or Blair, in the last 2 minutes as I'm trying to pull out something else?
Well, I'm kind of surprised at myself enjoying vodka this much. And I think that Canada makes the best vodka in the world. And I'm not just, showing patriotic pride. Since the regulations were changed to allow them to make a vodka that is not neutral, and it was Dairy Distillery, by the way, that instigated that. They make vodka out of milk. But since that happened, we have had some truly wonderful. Now, I think that wonderful vodkas, they're not going to kick you in the face like Lafroig or something, but there is so much subtlety there. And this is a wonderful way to train your palate. If you can get those 4 key flavors out of this, you're really helping yourself.
Well, I've got the umami and the sweets coming in, but the woody in the back. Blair, you said this was chill filtered, but I'm looking at it and I don't think you can notice, but the oil, it's just, I don't know, it's swirling around on the inside, and it's not becoming very foggy at all. I just see kind of the oily texture with the water. It's fantastic, a little dance in my glass, but it's not turning.
I think you can use the word chilled, very slightly.
Okay.
Chill filtered. It's funny because they experiment with paper filters, and that's when they switch over to this cold filter. And I don't know how filtered, like it's not filtered to death, which makes it the way it is. Yeah. I
like that. That's cool. It's like an adult snow globe. Just looking at it. All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And any last words before we sign off? So I want to say thank you to you both for making me do this, because it was a hard sell for you guys to get me off of anything other than whiskey. So thank you. And it was appreciated. It went down well. And if anyone finds this, you should buy it, and hopefully it gets out of Quebec, so we can do that. Last words, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Exactly. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody. Well, that's a good looking